Con este preámbulo que nos ha hecho Ramón, queremos comenzar este ciclo para que no se pierda la historia viva que camina entre nosotros. Gracias a Sergio por aceptar, así, y a Ramón por llevar adelante este proyecto que pedimos en el Consejo. Que Dios te ilumine y nos dé esa capacidad grande de saber imitar las buenas obras que has hecho en tus años de agrupado.
Gracias. Is this working? I don't think it's working.
No, eso es solo para la máquina.
Yes, it's working. I take that one.
I take this microphone? Or double microphone? They are making it difficult for me. We are doing this in English, so those of you that might not be comfortable in Spanish, which maybe all of us here, can follow us, okay? So enjoy it. The first question they asked me 5 questions, okay? How did I arrive to the Agrupación? How did I start in la Agrupación? And the answer is fairly simple. I was going to a school in Cuba, a private school, non-religious. It was not a handle by religious orders. That was called Baldor, and they excel on the 3 R's, you know, arithmetic, writing, and reading. And basically, the interesting thing about this is that some of the professors on one of the subjects that we had, the subject was called Moral, and one of the subjects was basically populated by people like you guys, young guys, that were going to present the idea of moral values, not religion, because we couldn't have religion in the class, moral values. And I was 16 when I started. In 1958, I was a senior in high school, and they invited me to go to La Agrupación. So I went with a bunch of friends from Baldor. By the way, a very famous person from La Agrupación went to Baldor, Frank Salas. You know, he's old, but he was there a long time ago before me. And it was very important, his conversion, by the way. So I started going to La Agrupación with my friends. We're a group of guys. We used to go to the movies together, dating girls. I like to dance, and so on, so on. And I started participating, and then suddenly they invite me to do ejercicios espirituales. And frankly, when they invite me to go, I asked permission from my parents. My father said no, so immediately I pick up and make a suitcase and I left before he could stop me from going. So my mother said, "What are you going to do when you come back?" He said, "I don't know. That something will happen." But I basically went to my first spiritual exercises running away from home. And the spiritual exercises transformed me. My family was a non-practicing Catholic family. But, you know, I didn't have the access to religion like other people. And I discovered when I was in La Agrupación in the retreat, spiritual exercises, I discovered Jesus. And Jesus was, at that time, I was 16, he was my older brother, my friend. And it was really love at first sight. I mean, that really shook me up completely in my belief and my understanding of my life. I continued going with my friends from Baldor and other people that were older, some of which I still hear in La Agrupación. And then I became a congregante, a full member, in 1960. So 65 years ago, I became a full member, like yesterday. Interesting enough, they say, what is it that you were looking for and you found in La Agrupación? As I mentioned before, it's my big brother Jesus. It was a surprise. I didn't know how that guy could be my brother and my friend and my God. That was during a very difficult time in Cuba. We were first under Batista, then Castro. We had to be careful. There was persecution against some of the things that we were doing. I got involved in the counter-revolution at that time when I was 16. The bottom line is that the Agrupación filled many, many, many things in our life. The Agrupación also asked you a lot of things to do that were very difficult. I remember I was maybe already 17, I'm not sure, but they asked me to start teaching in a favela called Las Yaguas in Havana. And I had to go to the class. It was in a very rough neighborhood. Here was a little white little guy, you know, going there. I was thinner at that time, going there and start teaching classes. My students were on their 20s. And some of them were like this. At the first day of class, I happened to have the bad luck that one of the bulbs burned off. And the students start getting on top of the tables screaming, "Ah!" making a big show. So that first day of classes, I told 2 of them that were expelled from the school forever. I was 16. I was expecting them to find me at the end of the meeting and knife me or something, but nothing happened. I continued going. I really admire these people because they were coming from 1 hour distance, going through the port of Havana and so on, to go to my classes. And they then enter into what it was called the Electromechanic School of Belén for people that were trying to get training without having a degree. All the time in the Agrupación, they installed the 3 pillars, religious life, apostolic work, and be the best you could be in your profession. That last one cost me blood. I mean, the positions that you mentioned that I had before, I had to be the best one I could be, and it was a lot of pressure for me. But I was doing what I thought God was asking me to do. The Agu affected me in a more important way even than my profession. I was one day, La Agrupación was a big place with people living in a residence like this guy over here that is looking at me with the glasses, that lived over there when they lived from other parts of Cuba. And one day I get a call when I was watching a game of squash. Squash is similar to high alive, but in a different way. And they said, Sergio, you have a call in the phone. There was one phone for the whole place, nickel. And I got a call and he said, hey, what can I do for you? He said, Sergio, my name is Mario Alcos. I am one of the agrupados. He was a founding member of Agrupación. I didn't know him. And he said, I want to invite you to the Sweet 15 of my daughter, Lali. I said, okay. He said, bring a bunch of friends from Agrupación because I want her to meet Agrupado. You guys are in the right track. So I had to teach some of my friends how to dance because I was a dancer. And we went to the party, and I started going out with I had a girlfriend at the time, but I started going out with Lali, and eventually, 5 years later, we married. We celebrated in December 60 years of marriage. So let me tell you, that's a great benefit that I have received from Agrupación. We have 5 kids. They're married. We have 15 grandkids, 3 great-grandkids. And our life has been transformed by this little invitation that I received through ACU. So if you want to get a good wife, you come over here and we find you a woman, okay? I really don't know what I was looking at that time in life. I was 16. I graduated from high school at 16, then so I had to have to work immediately. I didn't go to school because the universities were closed and all of that stuff. I really didn't know what I want from life. But whatever it was, I found it in La Agrupación. My whole life has been transformed by Christ and by ACU. Now, the next question is, how do you feel the presence of God in the evangelization work that we do in ACU? ACU is a means that God chose for me to find Him and to affect my whole life. And that's to help my family's salvation. I mean, that's the way He did it. Other ways that He looked at you, in my case, definitely that was the way it was. I feel it every day when I'm with you guys, Agrupado. Obviously, I feel it. Sometimes I get upset with some of you, but I mean, I feel it that Christ is there too in that moment. And we belong to a group of couples that get together, married couples from Agrupación. We have been in this group. We started different groups in different parts of the country. I think we started in 1965, 67. first in North Carolina, and then we went in Washington, and then we came to Miami. We have been in the same group since 1983, 42 years. And they're very close to us all the time. And definitely, it has helped us in having relationships with people that face the same problems that we have. I have been before in the Consejo, which is where Ramon was saying that they decided to invite me to talk. Anytime I come here on Tuesdays or Saturdays, I feel there is a presence of God here for me. Throughout my professional life, as I mentioned, the pressure of being number one has been horrendous because I had to try to be the number one, and I tried very hard in different places, but it paid off very decently. They asked me what have been my contribution to the evangelization work of Agrupación. Because of my personality or whatever, I enjoy doing apostolic work. I really like that. I enjoy, and I like to do it for church too. I mean, when I belong to the parish and I went to the parish, I do that. I go to visit people that are shut-ins or that are limited in if they cannot come to the Agrupación, agrupados, and non-agrupados too, and I bring communion. I try to do that every Thursday. It's not a big deal. It can be done by anybody. It's very simple apostolic work. You don't have to have any brains to do it. Just be a little bit compassionate. And I love the people I visit. I enjoy doing this. I have to say that. It's not like I say, oh my God, what a pain. I have to go now. I enjoy doing it. I have been involved in many things in Agrupación throughout the years. Some cases I didn't like it. And then when I start thinking about it, I said, do I want to do this? I said, well, I think God wants me to do it, so I push myself and I do it. I have been involved, for example, in the sale of the property that we have in Biscayne Boulevard before. We sold the property for a lot of money. We have a lot of money to help other people and ourselves, and then in setting up this place with other people. When I look at all the gifts that I have received through Christ and Mary, there's nothing else than being humble and try to do whatever they ask me to do based on my limitations. The question number 5, which is the last one, is what would you recommend to people that come to ACO? Especially looking at young people visit them, you are accepted, Father. But I mean, when you come over here, what would you do? I think the first thing is making a commitment to try to come to every guardia. If you're sick or whatever, that's okay. But I mean, I try to come to every guardia on Tuesday and on Saturdays. The group on Tuesday is different from the group from Saturday. Saturday, they're more oldies like me or even older than me. I try to go to every meeting. I have the custom that we started in Cuba, that when you arrive at Agrupación, you go to the chapel, you say hello to God in the tabernacle, and say, hi, I'm here, and visit him. Just can be only a few minutes or a few seconds. I carry that, and I think it helped me in trying to deal with whatever I had to deal here in Agrupación. I continue since I started early on when I was 16. I continue. My wife and I go to Mass every day and have communion. I think it's very important in our life. And we pray the rosary and do meditation. I mean, we do the regular things that a couple that have been married for 60 years do when they are in the right track with Christ. I think that when you come here, the first thing is probably visit your friends that you know. I mean, because you feel a little bit weird arriving over here with so many different people if you're new. Well, you have your friends. Visit with them. Then try to look at somebody that might be sympathetic or that you like or has a smile that is not so bad and try to talk to them and find out what they do and how much you have things in common. If everything else fails, you can always come to the oldies. There are a group of oldies over here, people like me, which are in their 80s or some of them in 90s and late 70s. And there's always something that we can learn from you guys, and we appreciate your effort to try to meet with us, and you will learn from us. Sometimes you find people through affinity on the same degree that you're seeking. If you're going to an architect or whatever, you're trying to be an engineer, there will always somebody here that will help you. And then, if you socialize with same people from Agrupación, you will get reinforced in your belief and your stand, because it's very difficult out there to continue being good in today's society. I think the challenge for all young people is horrendous, and I think having other people that think like you will help you. And basically that's it. That is my life in 5 minutes and a half, I hope.